With Jaden Sharpie takes the stage. His voice commands a digital age. Reviewing toys with steady gaze. Marching on through collecting praise. And can't wait to plastic fire. A super set by his side. And can't wait to commenting on every ride. 20 bodies fucking high. Each action figure stands in line. A battalion formed, they're looking fine. His commentary built a shrine to every figure's grand design. Tenderly for plastic pride, a super set by his side. Commenting on every ride. Poison more than you can hide. Each action figure stands in line. Battalion formed, they're looking fine. His commentary builds a shrine to every figure's grand design. Tenderly for plastic pride, a super set by his side. Commenting on every ride. Choice and more is choice and hide. Every soldier made of dreams, as his reviews reveal the schemes. Collectors march to hear his themes, in the canon world supreme. With helmet shiny weapons drawn, he speaks till all pictures are gone. Through battles fought through dawns of dawn, his words resonate on and on. With helmet shiny weapons drawn, he speaks till all pictures are gone. Through battles fought from dawn to dawn, his words resonate on and on.
All right. It's a good test that I could hear all that. That was good. Yeah, it's a long, full length version of that song. Just playing around with intros and stuff like that. I don't see anybody on, but that's okay. This is mainly to test to make sure everything's working on my end. I've got like a YouTube, I got a tablet over here with YouTube open so I can see myself. So that's working fine on that. Yeah, so I'll definitely do a shorter intro for future stuff with that. So if anybody catches this on replay later, like I said, this is just a test. I plan on actually doing a live stream January 20th. And I will set a reminder date for that and post it on all the social media stuff for with my first guest. It's going to be Chad while I'm doing that. So I'm just really just kind of burning some time here with this to make sure everything works like it's supposed to. Never done this before, so it's going to have a test, and then the day I actually use it to go live for real, things will mess up and break. So in the meantime, just to give this thing a little run to give some I can look at later just to make sure everything's running fine. Let me see, I'll do this too while I'm here. I will test comments. There we go. That comes out there. Okay, cool. I can see that. Didn't see it show up in the. Oh, there it goes. Okay, now I see it in the live chat. Yes, there is a delay. So that's one thing I got to watch out for when doing that. So I'm just going to do a quick just so I can save time here, an unboxing. So this is found this at Ross. I've been looking for this. It's the last one I needed to complete kind of a set. And to me, this is actually it's a Spawn Reaper. And this is actually I have the the Redeemer, the Dark Redeemer already. So I kind of want to get this to complete the set of the figures. Looking around for it, wasn't going to pay the original price for it, and then on Amazon's been kind of going for around $15 to $17 each one on there. So I found that Ross for I don't know if that could be seen real good for $5.99. I may have to flip my screen around because it looks like it's coming up backwards. Let me look on the test screen. No, it comes up right on the test screen. On my screen, it's backwards. On YouTube, it comes out right, which is, again, like I said, this is a learning experience here. So I'm just going ahead and use my knife here to open this up real quick. We'll just do a little unboxing real quick so that way test will be more than just a test. So I'll add a little content to the channel. And again, good packaging. You know, we hate on McFarlane figures because he's got that, it's even that 7-inch is where it goes at. And actually it works good for Spawn figures at that 7 scale. DC figures are kind of hit and miss on it. But for the actual Spawn figures, get the Reaper out. It does a good job of giving the sculptors room to do what they do best, which is sculpt actually beautiful figures. And the joints and all that are all much better on the Spawn figures than they are on their DC figures. They weren't meant to be really posed. Remember the first Spawn figure that came out in the 90s, that semi-mix of we were coming off G.I. Joe and Playmates and Super Articulation, and because Todd McFarlane had the number one comic book at the time, Spawn, and when he did his company, he wanted the sculpt to be the focus of the figures and not so much the playability. So the figures came with a little bit of articulation, sometimes some elbows and shoulders and head and stuff like that, but the rest of it was sculpted. It was just sculpted on there in a static pose, and that actually wound up influencing a lot of toy lines, in particular Toy Biz. They limited their articulation of their figures and went more to sculpted static poses with limited articulation, but they made up for it in play features of additional things like weapons and rocket launchers and what have you. Then in the 90s, the McFarlane's also they tried a couple vehicles. They had like the Spawn Hot Rod because McFarlane used Spawn to sponsor a hot rod. So that's why they did that. And they did a horse. I think the Violator got a hot rod too. But that pretty much started killing vehicles and play sets for figures. Was that. So here's the Reaper figure. And of course, it's got stiff ankles, which I'll have to play around with because one of the issues is that these dudes get good and their ankles either will be stiff or too weak. Like on the my Dark Redeemer figure, the wings are huge. I'm going to pull the wings out for this guy here in a second. They're huge, and what it does, it just pulls the figure backwards, and he's on a stand. His feet will stay on the stand flat, and then just the whole ankle tilt pull it backwards. So you either get stiff ankles or you get very loose ankles. But what is great about this figure and the Redeemer, and I always like the concept of the Redeemer and Spawn, is basically you had a Heaven's version of Spawn, but on a shorter leash. And it just looks cool. I think there's a glow in the dark version of the Reaper out there. I mean, there's this guy's really nice scepter weapon, which is really cool. And then this the stand. Then he comes these cord. I mean, these are nice. I don't know if you can see the sculpt of those wings. Just really nice sculpted wings on there, and they just they got some good peg holes in the back, so you don't feel like you're going to break this thing when you put it together. But it just does take a little bit of a. You feel like you're going to break them. Come on. There's one. I don't know if you can hear that pop on there. Once these wings come on, they are not coming off. There we go. And here he is with those really posable wings. Are really nice. Go back and they go forward a little bit. It's a really nice figure. So I guess the story behind this one is he used to be a one of the Redeemers, and then fell or something. It's been a long time since I've read a Spawn comic book. Once he stopped really paying attention to his own book, focused more on his toy company, it got really weird because it's how do you? I mean, this concept behind Spawn is great. You have this demon with bonded to human, and he's got unlimited. He can do anything with his power. He's very powerful. It's just eventually his power runs out, and once it runs out, it hits zero. Then he goes to hell. So how do you? In the early days, they did a really good job of trying to manage that. That at some point now you're paying, especially like 300 issues, which is crazy. They started getting creative and having to backtrack and redo things, and so things get screwy. And plus, like I said, his hand wasn't really on the comic franchise for a while, and so you start letting other writers do things, and you don't pay attention to it, and it goes off the rails. So I kind of think that's what kind of happened with these guys. Now the McFarlane hands are their fingers are kind of weird. Instead of pegging in, like on the hand would have a peg, like on an Action Force figure, they and peg into the wrist, they just have a wrist peg, and the hands peg into that. And if I put the correct hand in on it. And then this staff is scythe. Whoops. Might get a second here at some point so I can do this so you can see the trials, and it's not too bad. And so there he is the Reaper. So with that, I think I have enough enough data here to I think I had the test working, so I was able to. The only thing I didn't have a guest on to practice bringing them on screen, but I think I figured that out after being on so many guests on so many streams. Well, not so many streams. I've been a guest in the after show of the 3POA and also the Articulate Ninja, which was great the other night. I appreciate that. So I've kind of learned how with StreamYard to do stuff like that. I'm still learning it. So hopefully with this test complete, I'll be able to set the reminder for the upcoming one in January with It's Chad. Will probably be 9 o'clock on January 20th is when we'll do it. I don't know if I'm interfering with somebody else's broadcast. There's a lot of great folks out there. We try not, we're trying not to step on each other's toes, but then again, it's kind of get crowded for new voices to come along. So we'll talk about that. I'll be promoting that over the next few weeks. But I think this is a pretty good test, and we will get this finished. So with that, what I want to do is I want to play the intro as my outro one last time, and let's see if I can get this to go. Good. Something's not working right. So this is why we test things, people. So let's see if I do this. Let's see if I stop doing that and do that and share that. And with that, have a good one.
With Caden Sharpie takes the stage. His voice commands a digital age. Reviewing toys with steady gaze. Marching on to collecting praise. Head cannons with plastic pride. A trooper set by his side. Commenting on every ride. Toys and more, his toy can hide. Each action figure stands in line. Battalion formed, they're looking fine. His commentary built a shrine to every figure's grand design. With plastic side, a trooper set by his side. Commenting on every ride. Points and more, his toy can hide. Each action figure stands in line. A battalion formed, they're looking fine. His commentary built a shrine to every figure's grand design. Head cannon leads with plastic pride. A trooper set by his side. Commenting on every ride. Choice and more, his toy can hide. Every soldier made of dreams, as his reviews reveal the schemes. Collectors march to hear his themes, in the cannon world supreme. With helmet shiny weapons drawn, he speaks till all pictures are gone. Through battles fought from dawn to dawn, his words resonate on and on. With shiny weapons drawn, he's like figures are gone. Through battles fought from dawn to dawn, his words resonate on and on.